YouTube, UROX97 here with the budget builder for April 2012. It's Frog Monarch. A lot of people who have been on my channel, subscribed to me for a long time, know that I always end up reverting back to this deck because I think it's really good and I'm really comfortable with it. And I think it's a good deck overall. It's a really good meta call right now. And yeah, I'm just going to show you guys the deck profile. So, starting off with the Tribute Monsters, Double Light and Darkest Dragon. I didn't want to play 3 because I felt like it'd be overkill in a dead draw sometimes, especially when you can't have 2 tributes. But other than that, the 2 is really good. I was on the verge of playing 3, but I took one out anyways. But it's like our Logia because you just summon it, and if they're in a bad spot, like they only have 4 cards, then it's pretty much a game from there because when it dies, you're going to get something back. And against heroes, it's like a +4. It's not that great against dragons, but it's still like ultimately the boss monster card. It is the boss of the deck. Triple Caius, the main Monarch, just really good. Burn for 1,000 sometimes if you hit a dark like Sangam. Triple Ryza, this is the other Monarch you run. You only run 6 Monarchs, 3 Caius, 3 Ryza, because other Monarchs like Mobius and Thessalis and other Monarchs like that, they're just not doing enough this format because blowing back row really doesn't change the game, because if a deck rushes Monarchs, then they're going to lose because they just don't have enough to get rid of it all. So you just play the main Monarchs, and this is really good because with Swap Frog, you can create some sort of Ryza lock where you can keep setting your opponent back a turn, and if they don't have an out to that lock in about 2 turns, then it's pretty much game from there because they're going to take a lot of damage. I play 1 Dark Dust Spirit. This card's really good because it just blows their whole field. If they're like exploding, it's an out to those huge fields. You don't want to play 2 because it comes back to hand and then you'll draw a second one and it'll just kind of sit there. But what's really cool about him is if you're afraid of warning or they have a Logia on field, you tribute and set him because then it can't get negated. And then when they attack, its effect will go off because it just says flip face up. And that's really cool about this card. It's a really good way to play against certain decks. I tech 2 Quick Draw. Quick Draw is really good because with the Treeborn it makes Drill Warrior, and it lets you recycle your Monarchs and your Dark Dust Spirit because Dark Dust can't be special, but it can be added to hand again. And it also lets you start a Lad Loop, which is super amazing because if you get the Lad Loop going and it works, you pretty much have game from there. And I also play 1 Dandy. The reason I decided to play Dandy is because it was so good with the Quick Draws. But I wouldn't have run it if it didn't already have some synergy with the deck, being able to make a Lad or sack for a Monarch. Now to the best part of the engine. My build's kind of weird because I run 9 frogs instead of the normal like 5 or 6. I play Triple Swap. Best card in the deck. It has so many good effects. Like, of course, it dumps Treeborn, the main purpose of it, to get your Monarchs going. And but even better, it's a cost to return back, so if they Veiler or Fiendish Chain, it can still return back to your hand, and pretty much you can rise a lot by returning that to hand. You can summon this when Lad still has negates and bounce Lad back to hand to use it again later. And also it's a level 2, so you can make gotchis with this really easy, and it's with this and a Running Totem you can make the gotchi Lad play. I play Double Dupe. This is really good because it searches the Swap Frog. You need to get Swap Frog to your hand as fast as possible. I do this because it adds consistency to the deck because you really need the Swap Frog. And it's 2k defense, only thing that can be attacked, level 2 for gotchi. And it lets you abuse Ronin Totem. So I try to put as much targets as I could for Ronin, which I played 2 of over the standard 1. Because Ronin's just really good. After playing Sea Lancer, I realized how good gotchi is. It's like one of the cards that made Monarchs really good again because of the Frog engine, and I just want to play 2 so I can use it to its fullest. In the standard, double Treeborn, ulti first, and then you have to run this because it makes all your Monarchs a plus instead of wasting advantage to sack for your Monarchs. Hand traps, triple Battle Fader. This is so good because it gives you an extra tribute for Lad. And if you have a really bad hand, you can use this if you didn't get a Treeborn somehow. And then it just lets you take no damage, which is really good against some decks, like Sam's and Infernities. Ungor's gotta run it. That's it for the hand traps. I don't play Valor because I feel like what this deck needs is consistency, and Valor's not doing it. Sangan, stable. So spell cards, 2 duality. I play this first game because it's really necessary to win your first game. Like, you have to win your first game with this deck. I mean, you don't have to, but you'd have to try super hard game 2 and 3 because there's always some side for this deck because there's a lot of side that you can side in for this deck. So I side these out game 2 and 3 because you need to draw your side more, your counter side. And then just game 1 you really have to get to your Swap Frog and your Monarchs. So triple enemy controller. This is so broken with Treeborn, Brain Control in the standby phase, and you can just take their BLS and then attack with it and then tribute it. You can take their Utopia and overlay a Utopia Ray. It's just a really broken card. 2 Soul Exchange. I'll play this at 2 because I felt 3 might be a little too dead sometimes. I'm going to add a 3rd one, but it just gives you after things like Fossil Dyna and annoying things like that, and it lets you get rid of their big field with the Caius. Book of Moon, this is going in for the 3rd Soul Exchange that I don't have right now. Book, the best thing I could do with it was chain it to something Lad after the negate because it can't negate the 2nd card in chain and let it get all of its attack again. That was pretty much it, but it doesn't really do enough for this deck to keep running it. It's still a good card though. Staples, triple MST, you have to play 3 in this deck. Back rows, like, this deck's worst nightmare, so. Heavy, Dark Hole, Reborn. So your standard staples, heavy, blow everything, Dark Hole, blow everything. It's Reborn. Yeah. So this was the budget builder for April 2012. Feel free to leave a comment on what you thought of the deck, subscribe, thumbs up, and yeah, this was Yu-Gi-Oh! Action 7. Bye YouTube.